Welcome to the Life Self-Mastery Podcast, where we bring in entrepreneurs who have created online businesses and improved their lifestyles. Here's your host, Rohit Malhotra.
Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Life Self-Mastery. Today I'm excited to have Gagan Goyal, who's a partner at India Quotient. He has built a robotics and science learning company, which he exited in 2015. One of his most fulfilling accomplishments is creating the passionate and high-energy work culture that led to the development of innovative and IP-driven product that customers love. He's an active angel investor in about 24 well-known startups and has 5 exits to date. An IIT Bombay graduate, he's excited about business around consumer hardware, technology, and learning. He would love to start a world to be more frugal, more efficient, and more sane. Welcome to the show, Gagan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome. So how did you, get into investing? Before the call, we talked about that you were an operator, and then you got into investing. But what got you excited about being in the VC world?
Yeah, so my journey to VC world goes back to my entrepreneurial days when I started my venture into tech space in 2006. And very early on, I raised venture capital in my career.
Right.
I didn't knew why I'm raising. It's just that maybe I got an inbound interest and I thought I should raise money and all.
Right.
But through my journey of 10 years of entrepreneurial journey, I've seen a lot of ups and downs and a typical entrepreneur which most of the entrepreneurs face. That journey basically made me start, I developed some affection towards the whole challenges which are there in this whole part, and maybe because of the same reason, like in the later part of my entrepreneurial journey, like in 2012-13, I started mentoring some of my juniors from my college or people who helped me during my early entrepreneurial days. And while helping them, mentoring them, I started angel investing in them. And some of them, after my angel investment, did quite well, and they raised multiple rounds, right from raising up to 100 million or so. So basic, and then again, some of them failed. So that whole flavor of building, failing, raising, I think that brought in a lot of questions in my mind, that why we see things this way, why funding happens, why not funding happen for that company. So maybe a lot of those puzzles were there in my mind, and I discovered some of the answers, and maybe some of the answers I'm yet to discover. But at least that gave me some feeling and some interest in that area. And when I exited my venture in 2015, and I was thinking what next to do in my life, and to be very frank, I was not thinking to become a VC. I was thinking to become an entrepreneur again.
Right.
And it just happened by a chance that the investor who invested in me on day one, Anand, he was working with seed fund then when he invested, when after my exit, he was in touch with me and he started India Quotient, and he just followed up with me. What are you doing next? And why don't you operate from my office and use my office to if you're searching for a new idea, and let's spend time from my office. And frankly, I came to India Quotient office to spend time there, and I was working on my next possible ideas. And it just happened that in those 3-4 months of our casual interaction at India Quotient office, we ended up, and there was another partner, Madhukar, who started along with Anand. So between 3 of us, we used to interact and discuss about a lot of new ideas and ways and why VC takes those decisions and all. I think basically we develop affection towards each other without judging each other, that why, what I have to say and what I have not to say. And maybe because of that, we build a good comfort, and they proposed me one day and I ended up joining. So that's my journey to VC world.
Right, very very interesting. Because before the call, you also mentioned that you had invested into other startups. But do you think an entrepreneur should do angel investing, or do you think if it diverts his attention, he should not be doing angel investing? There's a lot of different thoughts on that. What and since you've had invested, doing your entrepreneurial venture, do you think it really helped you when you became a VC?
So Rohit, I think this is a very good question, and I think different people will have a different view. If you ask me, I also feel that entrepreneurs should not angel in investments. Okay, and
Right.
but as it started with me, people think that I want to help someone or guide someone, so you start passively engaging. Then sometimes you think that, or maybe entrepreneurs come back to you that why don't you take, like, I take money from you. So my initial angel investment, if you will laugh, like I started with 2 lakhs rupees, and that too, my company was not giving me enough salary to spend, like invest 2 lakhs in a startup. But I come from a family background where I could borrow money from my cousin easily.
Right.
And I borrowed money on interest rate and I invested in those startups. So frankly, it started in that way. But and so coming back to your question, that so I will suggest that angel investing, if you are doing it as a passion and hobby, then it should remain in that quantum. In my case, it didn't remain in that quantum. From passive involvement to angel investment, putting money, I started doing it, and then doing maybe one deal in a quarter to I started doing maybe 2 deals in a quarter or 3 deals in a quarter.
Right.
And so I increased that pace. Obviously, I used to think myself that I'm spending just time on weekend and all, but it takes away some time and energy. So I will suggest that if you can control yourself and do it in a hobby form, then do it. Otherwise, it's not a great thing to do.
Right.
But at the same time, if someone has I can say for me as a VC, obviously it's early days, but I think those angel investment piece in my life give me a different perspective when I'm investing in the other startups. So if you want to become a VC, angel investing can give you some flavor when you are putting your money in investments. But again, you have to do it in some quantum. Like by doing 2 or 3 angel investment, you can't learn about venture investing.
Correct.
You can't learn about venture investing by doing 20 angel investments also, but at least for you to get some flavor in terms of portfolio management and other aspects which we talk about, I think lot comes when you do it in some quantum. So that's the answer. Like if you want to do a VC, then angel investments can help. But for an entrepreneur, it's a distraction, so it's difficult to control. But if you can control, then you should do it, because you can learn a lot from others' journey.
Right. Very interesting. And you mentioned about the the venture that you built, and you were able to raise the initial round of funding, but it took you a while to raise a Series A. So how would you define product market fit for a company who would want to who are fit enough to raise a VC round, and which can give them a rocket ship growth? How would you define that product market fit for an entrepreneur so that he takes that VC money?
So I think, the challenge I feel is it's a lack of clarity in the entrepreneur's mind, and also in the VC's mind is the bigger issue which I see.
Okay.
A lot of time I've seen that VCs will go to a company, or they may propose that you are ready and please take my money. Sometimes they overestimate their judgment about the stage of the company or the depth of the company. And same from the founder side also, a lot of times they think that they are ready for investment. Or so what I've seen is that lot of in-depth discussion doesn't happen between VCs and a founder about what type of company they want to build, what is their long-term aim in terms of personal aspirations. And I think that leads to a lot of casualties, especially in the seed stage. Because raising a seed round is actually now relatively easier as compared to what it was. It's difficult, but relatively it is much, much easier now.
Correct.
But what I see is that a lot of time, so like a lot of time I meet many entrepreneurs which are doing good business, but those are not VC fundable business. That is one.
Right.
Some of them may be basic fundable business, but that entrepreneur is of that mindset, or the way he want to build a company doesn't make sense for him to raise money from VC. Ideally, he can build that company without raising money from a VC. So I have to advise them that your business looks good, but I think you don't need me. You should not come to me. So I had those good conversation with like every quarter I do one or two such in-depth conversation. So I feel that becomes a bigger challenge, or that is a important challenge. Apart from that, the typical product market fit is definitely an important aspect, and which most of the companies don't understand, and they start focusing on growth more because of the temptation, because growth, everyone likes it, and somehow if they figure out a growth model, then they start focusing on growth, and because of the growth, again, money also comes in easily, and everyone forgets the product market fit aspect, that what is the core use which is happening, is that core use so strong enough to monetize enough to justify all the investment which is going into the company. But again, I think this greed is a bigger problem. Both sides, I feel there is a greed, which sometimes led to immature decision, to a immature analysis of a company.
Right. Very interesting. And since we've been impacted by COVID, these are the times of crisis. What would you advise founders, who are heavily impacted by COVID, to how to analyze their spend and optimize their runway so that they're able to survive this year and really take it to the next level next year?
See, actually, if you really see, the COVID is like a blessing in disguise.
Okay.
Really speaking for entrepreneurs, I know for some it is very, very difficult in terms of managing the cash flow, and if they are like left with 1 or 2 months of money in the bank, then for them there is no way out. But actually, if you fundamentally see, I think COVID has led people to stop and give pause and think about it is giving you an opportunity to go deeper into each and every aspect of your business.
Right.
And interestingly, because of the challenges around the COVID, it has made investors also think that what is sustainable growth, or what is sustainable company. So on both sides, if you see, one side, the investors have also got a shock, and they are also trying to figure out, and like they are also like got a chance to rethink on the fundamentals, which ideally they should be thinking. And founders are also getting a lot of time, because like now no one is asking about growth and those things. So I think actually this moment is a great moment, and it is more better for the people who are more impacted, because for a company which is getting a tailwind, they are anyway growing. So they are getting again so there the efficiency they are not getting chance to work on the efficiency. They are just focusing on growth. And now a lot of people are chasing them in terms of money also. So for them, things have not changed like for them, things has changed, but in terms of the same direction, like what it was earlier, the wind in the same direction.
Right.
It's just that the momentum has come. But interestingly, for the company which are affected by COVID, it's an opportunity to use for them to go back and think about the fundamentals and core aspects of their business and the core metrics. And I think I'm seeing those who are taking that seriously will really benefit from it and will come out more stronger.
Got it. And ideally, founders are told to keep a runway of around 18 to 24 months. How much runway do you now advise founders to keep? Because nobody has a clarity, when the COVID impact will be lifted off.
So Rohit, I think frankly no one has that clarity. Okay,
right.
We all were guessing some number. Frankly, I learned from senior VCs and other people in the industry when I started reading news in March, and I attended a lot of webinars, and also I think that time I built the outlook. Initially it was 12 months, then I realized 18 months to 24 months. But if you ask me today, looking at the latest numbers which we are seeing in terms of some sort of early recovery sign which we are seeing, I think so I can be wrong, but I'm a little optimistic that 12 to 18 months is a good time when people will start seeing their original last pre-COVID quarter average numbers, depending upon type of business they are in. So 12 to 18 months is a good number. But again, this is based on current situation.
Right. Correct. And there's been a lot of cost cutting across all industries, across all companies. How should layoffs be done for a leader in order to keep up the morale up for the companies, for the rest of the employees, and also to make sure that some of the really good people for no uh, uh, you know uh, uh, for no fault of theirs, they had to leave the jobs, but they can always come back. What advice are you giving to founders who have to do such sort of cutoffs and layoffs and salary cuts?
So it's a tough question. Like it's actually very difficult to handle and all.
Right.
So I don't have a very easy answer on it, but what I can say, there are a few things which someone should keep in mind. And like I told my entrepreneurs, at least portfolio founders, one, it should be done in once. Okay, you should not be doing cost cutting in multiple times. Ideally, so you should plan and do it in a way that you are cutting the cost in one go. Okay,
right.
With multiple shocks, people will not be able to handle. Okay, so you are able to see. So like as of now, we are at least, so don't think about that. Okay, I should think about 9 months or 8 months runway. Think about 12 to 18 months of no funding happenings, or maybe take extreme cases and then do the planning and then take a call. So do it in 1 second. Second point is, ideally, you have to be transparent. So when you are doing these layoffs, okay, transparency in terms of, like, you have to admit, go in front of your team, tell them very clearly why you are doing it. What's the aim and objective? In fact, try to also articulate, like, if you are removing particular division or department or type of people, then on what basis you have taken that decision, so that people feel that you are trying to be. See, a lot of people, see, the guy who is going will still not find this decision comfortable. Whatever you tell him, he will not feel good about it. The important is that the people who are there after this decision, they should feel that my leader is I can trust this guy. Okay, so transparency in terms of how you are communicating, like you should directly go and talk rather than like sending your team to go and talk to them. Okay, try to do a large town hall if needed. Maybe you will not be able to answer the questions of everyone, but at least you should be in front of them. Like you should go in front of them, telling as much clearly as possible. So like, also like telling that when you will, like what your aim, like through this cost cutting, your aim is to maybe go to the expenses to a certain level, and you assume that your revenue will reach to that level. So accordingly you will tell that, so this is what your scientific reason, and once those numbers happens to come on the line which you are thinking, then maybe you will roll back maybe the cost salary cut if you have done apart from firing. So I think as much transparency if you can bring it, it will be good. And third is, like, when you are having maybe a very heavy cost cutting, like a company wants to do a very heavy cost cutting, then think for a core thing which are needed for the business. Okay, rather than thinking because a lot of things are good to have in your division, but you have to look at what is core to my business, because the whole aim is to get to in a shape again when you get an opportunity to bounce back, right? So for you, the important is that what is the core. So protect the core which is more stronger, which is unique to you, which you can't get from outside easily.
Got it. Makes sense. And how would you advise founders, who approaching talent market today, because they would need talent to come into the company. Are there any specific suggestions you're giving to founders to look at talent so that they are comfortable to work in a remote situation, because looks like another 5 or 6 months down the line, not more than 50% of the workforce would be allowed to work in a physical space. So what advice are you giving to such founders who looking at remote work and approaching new talent now?
So I think on that front also, the transparency is the most important factor. You have to have now. So if your culture was not so open culture earlier, then you have to. It's a high time you create that culture, like in terms of your interaction with the team members and being upfront about how company is growing or how badly you are hit. So same way when a new guy is also joining, for him also, I think you have to tell him on day one, okay, before he join also, in fact, you have to tell him that in what situation you are hiring in, how comfortable, what's the runway you think your company have today. Okay, what is the matrices which are important for company in next 3 to 6 months. And when you, as I said, like try to do like when he's on board the company, and like try to do, so we are telling our portfolio companies to do more frequent now, weekly calls or town halls, and like increase the frequency of those meetups. Okay, and some calls can be no agenda calls. Okay, those calls are just to chit chat, like how they are doing, how they are cooking, what good recipe they are making. So I think you have to give more comfort to the people right now, that and you have to share, like you have to be more vulnerable with them, that what challenges I am facing in the home today to manage my current system. At the same time I am working. So I think they should connect with you more. In fact, we recommend our entrepreneurs to do more video calls, okay, rather than the audio calls, because when they see you, it helps you. So I think that also does help. A lot of time people are not comfortable. Like request them if they are okay to switch on their camera. So I think those are the few ways through which you can give comfort to the new team, existing team member in the current situation. And also like do things if possible in terms of helping them manage this crisis, because everyone is not mentally strong.
Correct.
To give them a reading material or relevant material for them to mentally comfortable and strong. I think mental strength is the biggest thing which is needed in the current time.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely, very rightly put on, and very important points that you've taken right now. And I want to talk about India Quotient as a fund, and I want to understand, are you sector agnostic, and what are the areas of industry that you're looking at to invest into startups in next coming months or years?
Yeah, so India Quotient is on a broader level, it's a sector agnostic fund. Okay,
Right.
Largely we have done work in consumer tech companies, but from last 2.5 years, we have started focusing on B2B and SaaS also. But primarily we are a consumer tech focused fund, but within that there are certain subsectors where I will say within the team of India Quotient we have built some strength and expertise or liking. Okay, and those are, one is social media and content, which we think, and especially, and obviously like on a broader level, again, all the focus of India Quotient is around India specific problems or Bharat specific problems. Our focus is more around this 300-400 million internet users or the new internet users which are coming. So we focus on India specific and not the premium market, like the mass market India related problems. And within the subsectors, as I was saying, social media and content is one area. The second is brand, consumer brands.
Right.
Third is fintech. And in fintech, we have done good work in lending. There are other areas in fintech like insurance and others, which we have not done much, but yeah, we plan to do that. And the fourth area, which is an emerging area within India Quotient, is SMB, SaaS and software tools. Like we are seeing a big surge in small businesses using software tools. Either they are paying for those software or they are using those tools to transact and manage their business well. So we are seeing that a lot of new businesses can be built who are focusing for small business tech solutions. So that's another area. There are one or two more domains where we have an interest, but somehow we have not done much deal. One is education and another is gaming. So these are the like 6 areas I will say we have a interest within the consumer internet domain.
Right, very interesting. And your forte is more about SaaS, SMB, software tools and consumer tech. So we have had Druva and Freshworks, which are unicorns who come out of India. What opportunities would you see in SaaS? Where do you think India would be a SaaS leader, considering we can make products made in India and sell it in US, Europe, and other Western countries? Or are you looking at solutions where we're building SaaS products, but sending it only for India specific audience?
So Rohit, my quick answer is I'm focusing on the later part.
Okay.
That software built in India for India. Okay.
Right.
But to answer this question on an overall perspective, definitely software built from India for global audience, or especially for US or Europe, I think that has been proven by a couple of companies. The few which you mentioned, apart from that, Browser Stack, Postman, there are many others which are there. So I think that trend is coming up very strongly, and a lot of VCs, Indian VCs and outside India VCs are tapping on those opportunities. I think I have a little different thought, or additional thought in the same area, that I think nowadays, because of, so there are 2-3 things which has happened. Like, we all know that internet has come to common man hand in India, and the speed has also become quite fast and good, and also the smartphone penetration. And because of all these factors, and given the UPI and those payment drives, so I think this is the consumerism which has happened around the consumer side. Okay, like today, a rickshaw wala or a small merchant which is running a grocery shop, he also is either using Uber or a Ola or some sort of a Google Maps to find a location or to reach to a particular location, or sometimes he also sees a review of something before taking a decision, okay, while purchasing something. So nowadays, this businessmen which are using this lot of other consumer tech in their daily life, I think they have developed the liking for the same for their own business needs also. That is our assumption, that because of this smartphone penetration, because of so many startups which has come up, because of all this UPI and internet, I think this, what are changes which has happened in India in the consumer side, the same consumer is a business owner, because in India there are like around 60 odd million, and which is growing, small business owners. So these small business owners, we feel, and this is what we are seeing from some of our portfolio companies, that they now have a liking for this value of technology in terms of giving them a real-time update about their business, whether it's accounting data, or whether where their trucks are moving, or how much is their inventory, or like getting a response from a client or a customer. So I think that all will increase the surge of need of software, and that too driven by mobile focused software on mobile. And India is like much ahead of that in terms of other countries, in terms of the time spent which people are doing on. So I think India is like, we have a lot of opportunity for mobile first software, and obviously this software can go outside India also. I'm not saying that they will just be restricted to India, but a lot of these developing nations, or the nations where WhatsApp penetration is more higher as compared to normal Facebook or other tools penetration, I think those countries I'm talking about. And I think so that's our India focus. SaaS is a separate focus and a vertical thought at IQ.
Right, very, very interesting. And I want to understand, or do you think the consumer spending would be redefined after COVID-19? Because what I've seen is, if you look at edtech and medtech companies, their numbers had really gone up in the last couple of months since we had this lockdown. And you also see children, using Zoom and other web conferencing tools to study and to learn from their teachers. But do you think are there industries which are really going to get a benefit after COVID-19? And do you think there'll be impact of, are you already seeing the impact of consumer spending, during this time?
So there's no doubt that this COVID has helped a lot of people appreciate the value of internet, cloud technology, like ordering things on phone and like seeing information on phone. So I think it has benefited a lot of people. Like the grocery shop, which was not taking order on WhatsApp, is now taking order on WhatsApp, or is like collecting money on internet rather than exchanging a cash. So I think definitely it is going, and like Zoom calls are happening, or colleges are running, schools are running online. So I think we are seeing those value and appreciation about the technology. So that has happened, and it will have a lasting impact also. But if you ask me, I have that whether, like some people were saying that this is a new normal, like school will happen online or classes will happen online. Frankly, so I have a doubt that to what extent that will happen, because on the other side, the country which are opening up or the lockdowns are getting removed, we are seeing that the people are going back to their original behavior very fast. So I have I'm not saying I'm predicting that, but I am like myself debating in my mind that some of the new normal mindsets which we were making and defining and debating 3-4 months back, I think how much strong they will be going forward, I don't know. But definitely we all know that technology and internet has a value. Right. And that is anyway was bringing shift in the numbers and trends. This COVID will give a step function to it. Will some industry will change drastically? Actually, I'm a little doubtful now looking at the trends, the latest trends which we are seeing about the countries which are opening up or the lockdowns are getting removed.
Right. Very interesting. And, I quickly want to do the top 3. What's your favorite business book?
So 0 to 1 is my favorite business book. Right. And I will suggest, you have not asked, but I will suggest other books also, which are not business books, but I think these are important for an entrepreneur to read in their life. Right. And one of that book is Ikigai. So nice. I think this purpose of life and meaning in the life, I think those are also important aspects which someone should touch upon, because entrepreneurship is such a difficult journey. Correct. That that it will be good to know more that why you are into it. And a lot of time we don't ask that question to ourselves. Ideally, someone should be thinking about that in all the profession he's doing, but I will say particularly with respect to the type of audience which you have on your podcast, I think for them, asking this question, that having a purpose in the life and clarity that why you are onto it. So reading books on those topics, and Ikigai, I feel, is one of the good book on that topic.
Correct. We will put that on the show notes. And if you could go back in time when you started working on your investing career and India Quotient, what is the one thing you would have focused on, or would you have done anything differently?
So it's very personal to me. I would have preferred to maybe launch this podcast or write more before starting up. Okay. So I think it does help. Like when you write your thoughts, okay, when you express your thoughts in an explicit way by doing a podcast or more of a blog, I will say, it helps you refine and refine your thoughts. That is for yourself, you get a benefit. Correct. And I think that is a bigger benefit. The second benefit, which is a little beneficial in terms of materialistic gain, is that when you get a good audience. So I think ideally I would have done this thing if I would have known this beforehand and got a chance to do it.
Correct. Yeah, that's the answer I really like. And do you have any favorite online tools, for example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom?
So my latest tool, which I'm using it from last 1.5 years, which I'm liking it very much, is Calendly. Right. I love Calendly for scheduling my meetings. It really makes job easy. Obviously, there's a lot of debate that a lot of people don't like it in terms of asking someone to put a addition on the calendar, and like people say that it looks rude, but I don't find it's rude at all. And I think it's a very helpful tool for me, at least, manage my schedule.
Absolutely. Zoom and Calendly are two products I really love. And Gagan, what is the best way people can reach out to you and know more about India Quotient?
So anyone can write to me on gagan@indiaquotient.in. First name and indiaquotient.in is the email ID. That's the best way to reach out to us.
Correct. Yeah, we will put that in the show notes. Thank you, Gagan, for taking our time and speaking to us. I really enjoyed your valuable inputs and your thoughts on this.
Great. I also loved having my first podcast.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Life Self-Mastery Podcast. where we teach you how to start and grow your online business. For more information, visit Rohit's blog at www.lifeselfmastery.com.